Quiet, please. Can anyone recall what we did yesterday? What did we learn about? Transversals, we had what? Alternate what? Let's pull this back out. What are 4 and 6? They're what?
4 and 6 are
Alternate interior angles. 3 and 5. What about 1 and 7?
alternate exterior.
What about 3 and 6?
3 and 6
What about 1 and 5?
corresponding.
2 and 6?
Corresponding.
Okay, very good. Now, does it look really like there's any special relationship between, for instance, angle 1 and angle 5 right here? Other than that they correspond, right? It's like having a 200-pound quarterback and a 225-pound quarterback, okay? They both play quarterback, but they're different, right? Okay, the whole reason we went through all of this is that when these aren't parallel, nothing really special happens. However, when these two lines are parallel, like I'm going to draw the same situation we had up here yesterday, where this is L and this is M. And then, except what I'm going to say is this line is parallel to this line. And this is what we use. You know, we use a little marks or the arcs to mark things that are congruent, or segments that are congruent. Well, that's what we use to mark that what? Those two are what? Parallel. Now when I cut this with a transversal, as we said yesterday, what happens? What's created? At each place, right? There's a total of what? 8 angles created. Now I want you to look at angle 1 and angle 5. They look like they, just at a glance, do they look like they might correspond in some special way? They look like they're what? Congruent, yes. Well, it turns out when the lines cut by a transversal are parallel, the following happens. One. What do you think I'm going to talk about here? What else do you think I'm going to talk about? as I've said before, you shouldn't just go by how things look in geometry. That's not even close to enough. But it can lead you to somewhat of a conclusion that you think to be true. And there's nothing wrong with letting it help you. Does that make sense? Alternate interior angles. What do you think I'm going to say about them if you were a guessing person? Pens down. We'll finish writing in just a second. And pencils. Writing utensils down. Give me an example. Look of alternate interior angles up there. What ones? 4 and 6. What do you think 4 and 6, just by glancing and looking at them? What do you think? Guess what? They are. Are there any other alternate interior angles in there? They're not necessarily congruent to the other one, so I have to use what? 2 marks, don't I? Let's go down to alternate exterior angles. 1 and 7. Huh? They look congruent, don't they? Now, let me ask you something though. We can't forget about what? Vertical what? And we have a lot of those here too, don't we? Isn't 3 the same as 1? So if 1 and them are the same, look at that, I can use 2 marks, can't I? Because 5 is congruent to 7, 3 is congruent to 1, and 1 is congruent to 7, right? Any others? So alternate exterior angles are congruent. So, and isn't 2 congruent to 4? So we can use 1 mark. What about corresponding angles? Well, we've already got it marked, don't we? That's why some books don't even include alternate exterior angles, because corresponding angles take care of the alternate exteriors, if that makes sense. But whichever way, as you can see, 4 is congruent to what? So corresponding angles are what? Congruent. So 3 of the 4 are what? Congruent. Why do you think I skipped consecutive interior angles? They are not congruent, are they? I mean, look at it. Is it not obvious? What do you think they are? There's enough information there, right there, to prove that they are. What do we know 6 plus 5 is? Everybody look up here, please. What's 6 plus 5? Huh? Okay, measure of angle 6 plus the measure of angle 5. 180, right? And good call saying 11. You're right. That's why I should say talk in geometry terms. The measure of angle 6 plus the measure of angle 5 is 180. What's 5 the same thing as? So what's the measure of angle 3 plus the measure of angle 6 got to be? 180. And what are they? They are what? Consecutive interior angles, correct? So guess what? They are, what does this word mean? So these add to 180 degrees, right? These add to what? Go. On your mark and set, go. My example for you is this. See if you guys can do this on your own. I gave you that information. The measure of angle 4 is 80. And I froze it so I can write my answers down while you write your answers down. Everyone is expected to try. And you should all be able to get it. It's very, very easy. How many numbers are you getting? Very good. Very good. What's your other number? 100. Okay. This is what you should have gotten. Now, I'll zoom in here and let's just look at the picture. You'll see how easy this is. Okay, we said that this one was what? 80 degrees, right? We can just go around the horn here. If that's 80, what's this? What's this? What's this? But the thing is, once we get this here, you know, without this underneath here, we could already tell that without even this section or the section before it, right? That's from vertical angles and linear pairs. But it turns out when they're parallel, we can compare these with what? These down here. So if that's 80, its alternate interior angle is what? And now you can just what? Go around the horn, right? Pretty easy, huh? Here's the thing. If you'll notice, if they look at angle 1 is beside angle 2, right? What is it? What are they? Use the word. Supplementary. Angle 1 is on top of angle 4. What are they? Angle 4 is beside angle 3. What are they? Angle 2 is on top of angle 3. Is it? And they are? Is angle 3 on top of angle 6? It is, isn't it? What are they? Angle 4 is on top of angle 5. What is it? Angle 5 is beside angle 6, so they are? Angle 6 is on top of angle 7, they are? Supplementary. Supplementary. So, if they're beside or what? On top of each other, what are they? If they alternate, they are? If they alternate in some way or correspond, they are congruent. Grant? Wake up. Easy peasy. Any questions there? Where they can make this somewhat complicated. And what you'll find, the basic ones like this are pretty easy. But you might have a problem like this. I'm going to do you a favor and I'm going to draw them in different colors so I can help you, so we have something to refer to. You see my point here? Everyone look up here. Down here, which one corresponds to which one is going to be pretty easy, isn't it? But up here, I have what? An extra line coming through here. So for instance, what corresponds to this angle, or what corresponds to this angle up here? Okay, that's easy enough. What corresponds to this angle up there? This whole big angle right here, right? But see how that gets a little confusing because they what? They cut it. There's two of them in here. But you have to realize it's this whole one that corresponds with that whole one. Make sense? Same thing here. So you see how they can draw these pictures to sometimes get a little bit what? Confusing. Didn't bother us down here much, but up here you have to see that it's that angle. Now, in the other term, what about this one? What corresponds to this angle? That one? Would you agree? What corresponds to that angle? This one here. See how that can get pretty darn complicated? Figuring out which one corresponds with which. I have the ability that I can I can visualize this without that there. Some people are better at spatial recognition. Some people are better at, visualizing things or changing something in their mind. Some are. Okay? But it can get more complicated. Or when they have ones like this. And these are the two that are parallel. Do these angles here have anything to do with these angles over here? They don't, do they? But these angles have something to do with each other, don't they? But are these two parallel? So this is not a transversal. You can't say that alternate tier angles are congruent here, can you? Because only the red lines are what? Parallel. So yes, these are alternate tier angles if this was your transversal, but they're not necessarily congruent or supplementary or any of that stuff because the blue lines are not what? Parallel. Here though, you can say what? That's congruent to that, that's congruent to that. Right? You can do the same thing here, but it's different than this one, isn't it? Okay? All right. Let's do guys, remember, I got to see the equations. I guess I could cross this out and just say 8 through 19. Right?